Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard, the best television show not on TV. We missed y'all last week. I had The Beard on a bye one time. Shout out to everybody that tuned into the Giant Overreaction. Everybody that's been rocking with me over there on Bleacher Report. It's been some really good streams, man. Big shout out to all of y'all, man. Appreciate the fam pulling up, rocking out with your boy. We got a couple of games here on the slate, man. We got to fly through these today. We got 5 games. We got 4 teams on the road in the NFC East. The Giants are taking on the Saints. Commanders are taking on those Rams. The Cowboys are going to be taking on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. And the Eagles are looking for a bounce-back victory going up against the Seahawks. We got the game tonight against the Raiders and the Chargers. And tonight, man, definitely make sure you turn on that Prime Vision. Y'all know what it is, man. It's definitely going to be a vibe. That's the way you watch those games, man, especially for the people that like the All-22 film. Cowboys had a big week last week against those Philadelphia Eagles. Let's bring in the best co-host in the country, the one who can walk on water, the one who will be throwing rose petals over the pond today, the flower boy for today's ceremony, Mr. Beard himself. What's going on, brother?
It's crazy because, like, he started talking, and I was like, okay, he's going to do a little thing about the Cowboys Eagles, and he was like, nah, I'm just going to bring the Beard in, and he's going to do it. So
this
shout
is your
out to all the Dallas Cowboys fans who are Awthentik in the Beard family members. That was a big win for you guys last week. I think you guys did it in fantastic fashion. It wasn't no, bad calls or, luck this and, that sort of thing. The Cowboys are just, they're playing the best football in the National Football League right now outside the San Francisco 49ers, maybe the Ravens, but I still think I'd take the Cowboys playing better football right now than the Ravens, but right up there with the San Francisco 49ers. It's crazy because obviously the whole Cam Newton thing came out, and I had a discussion about that with a couple of people.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I like Cam Newton, bro. That's my guy.
Me and you are always on the same page when it comes to the quarterbacks that everybody else has a problem with.
Yeah.
They're like our favorites. But I don't think there's nothing wrong with what he said. I think people have this misconception about a game manager. First of all,
you talking about those statements that came out a couple days ago? Some more came out today.
I saw that. I saw it on your Twitter. And then the second thing being if we're talking game managers, I would not put Dak in that conversation. He may not necessarily be a game changer, but there's only a few of those guys out there. And that's only just because he doesn't do some of the things that a Lamar Jackson could do. But Dak is playing crazy football. Shout out to the Cowboys. You guys deserve all the flowers in the world right now. I will continue to say it until the Cowboys are no longer playing football. I was completely wrong about the Dallas Cowboys in the beginning of the year, amongst other things, probably most
the Washington Commanders as well.
Commanders. So, it's going to be an interesting show. We got a lot to talk about today. Big shout out to everybody in the chat across all the platforms, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and, of course, right here on YouTube. We appreciate all the love and all of the support. Big shout out. I see you, Marcus. I hope you didn't miss, the whole Dallas Cowboys are on top of the world speech from the Beard.
Yo, on top of the world. I like that. I see Juan is in the building. He's talking about the nice conversation we had on Twitter today, man. Twitter it's a fiasco on Twitter right now. And I got a big shout out
the other day.
You might just want to take notifications off the strength. But what I was going to say is we had a conversation with one of our homies, one of our big supporters. Big shout out to Brian Porass one time. Brian was trying to convince us that Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than C.J. Stroud. No, and this wasn't like an old tweet or nothing. This is from literally 10 days ago, man. And then there was also the situation where there's a new account running around the New York Giants Twitter that's kind of like Wes Steinberg, where they're just putting out troll tweets and whatnot.
Oh yeah, the one that got some legs about.
I want to just throw this out there to the people in the chat that don't know. I know you probably seen this already, but Don LaGreca had somebody call into the show, right, and say ESPN reported this tweet that came out, okay, that Daniel Jones would be playing the same football as Tommy DeVito and all that. Not only did Don LaGreca fall for it, he agreed with the caller. I thought it was absolutely egregious. So it's been an interesting couple of days on Twitter, man. I've been telling people it's a balance of insanity and the best kind of humor you could possibly find outside of a Dave Chappelle show, man. So big shout out to all of y'all. Definitely appreciate all y'all who rock out with us on Twitter, man, and continue these conversations. But we definitely limited on time, man. Let's get right to it, man. Since we were giving the Dallas Cowboys some flowers, let's go right into that game. They got a great matchup, man. Dak Prescott going up against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. All right, man. The 10-3. Oh man, that's definitely not nothing like that 8-9. 10-3. Dallas Cowboys taking on the surprisingly 7-6 Buffalo Bills. This one is Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. Opening line has the Bills favored. I get it. They are at home. I thought the Dallas Cowboys would be favored in this one, but the Bills are favored by 2.5. That was the opening line. Last meeting, the Bills did beat the Cowboys 26-15 in Dallas in 2019. Josh Allen was 19 of 24 for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns. I believe that game was on Thanksgiving, actually. Last week, the Dallas Cowboys definitely handled business against the Philadelphia Eagles in a victory 33-13. The Bills beat the Chiefs, man. It came down to the last play, Kadarius Toney's foot being over the line. Dan Orlovsky really put out some good information on that game. He was lining up like that all damn game. So Andy Reid did have a little bit of a merit when he was talking about the referee should have came to him and warned him to then finally throw the flag on the last play. That is a bit egregious here. Dallas has won 5 straight, and they can clinch their 3rd straight playoff berth with a win. We had 12 wins last season, 12 wins the season before that. Dallas Cowboys are looking like they're on their way to another 3rd straight 12-win season here. Since 2021, the Dallas Cowboys have the NFL's highest point differential. The Buffalo Bills have the 2nd highest point differential. This is going to be a great matchup here. The Cowboys are 7-0 at home. Mike McCarthy is 40-23 as the coach of the Cowboys. He can become the Cowboys' first coach with 41 victories in his first 4 seasons. Ain't nobody ever done that in Dallas history. The Cowboys are 130-point game away from tying the franchise record of 10 games of at least 30 points. That would tie a record from 2014. They're also 9-4 against the AFC over the past 3 seasons, and the Bills have won back-to-back games haven't won back-to-back games since weeks 2 through 4. So they're definitely looking to try to get things going. They came into last week sitting at 500. The Bills' 6 losses this season have been decided by a combined 26 points. And they also, in their past 11 losses, all those games have been decided by 6 points or less. That dates all the way back to 2021. The Cowboys offense, they've been fuego like an old club that used to be over here in PG County back in the day. If you know, you know. Cowboys lead the NFL in scoring right now at 32.4 points per game. The Cowboys are also the 4th team in the Super Bowl era to win at least 8 games by at least 20 points in a season. So not only are they winning these games, they're blowing teams out. Dak Prescott, he's looking to set a franchise record with an 8th consecutive game with multiple passing touchdowns. Shout out to Daniel Jones. Is that a low blow? Is that a low blow? No. CD Lamb has 5 straight games with a touchdown. That's a career high for him. He can be the first Dallas Cowboy since Terrell Owens to go 6 games in a row with a touchdown. And Jake Ferguson, man, we talked about him today extensively in the spaces I was in with Base. Shout out to Base, man. Great conversations today in the space. I think they really bounced back in a major way after a couple of days ago, man, after the Green Bay Packers when the spaces were just all over the place. But we're talking about Jake Ferguson a lot, about how he had a lot of targets early on in the year. He's combined now for 11 receptions for 149 yards and a touchdown in his past 2 outings. So a lot going on with the Dallas Cowboys offense entering this game. I think Josh Allen's going to have to step up. We already know, man, he's been a one-man kind of wrecking crew over there, and you could kind of take that, both ways, in a negative way and in a positive way. He is 2nd in the NFL to Dak Prescott with 25 touchdowns. He's got 3,447 yards on the year. He's got 11 total touchdowns in his last 4 games, but 14 interceptions this season. He's 1 short of matching a career high. He's been picked off in 9 straight games. So if the Buffalo Bills want to have a chance against the Dallas Cowboys, I think it's extremely important for them to go out here, take care of the ball. A lot is on Josh Allen's shoulders because I think that this is more of an important victory for the Buffalo Bills than it is for the Dallas Cowboys. What are you seeing in this matchup, Beard?
It's crazy. The Josh Allen interception stat, like 9 straight games. The last game that he played where he didn't throw an interception was October 1st against the Miami Dolphins. So it's kind of crazy. I mean, you talked a lot about some things that I wanted to touch on and just a little bit deeper into what you said, talking about the Cowboys, 5 wins in a row. 33 or more points in every single one of those games. It's lights out offense right now. And what's interesting is that, yes, the offense has been clicking. They haven't allowed a team during that span. We talked about the blowouts, right? There hasn't been a team that scored more than 17 points outside the Seattle Seahawks game. So it's going to be interesting because, they haven't really played that many high caliber offenses during that span outside of, the Eagles, but I think it's evident that there are some issues right now with the Eagles offense, but still no excuses. It's considered to be one of the better offenses in the National Football League.
Yeah.
So we have to call that what it is, and I looked at this game, and early in the season, I was like, okay, this is going to be the stretch, right, where the Cowboys are going to fall victim to the schedule. Now it's like they're coming into this stretch playing their best football. So it's like it's hard for me not to want to lean towards the Dallas Cowboys, okay? But all 3 losses for the Cowboys this year on the road, okay? Buffalo Bills, 5-2 at home. So that's kind of something to think about too. And it's really going to come down to, I think, Josh Allen. It's not like the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys can necessarily, do something dramatic. I just think it's going to be Josh Allen. Is Josh Allen going to win the game for the Buffalo Bills, or is Josh Allen going to lose the game for the Buffalo Bills? And you said it, it's basically Josh Allen, the wrecking crew. And when you said that, it's because he's a guy that's going to, I don't want to say he loses them games because it's a team sport, right? But his turnovers have put them into some predicaments this season. That's just being honest, right? So James Cook has been playing really good football as of late since they made the switch at the coordinator position. So it's going to be interesting to see how they, use him, handle him. I think the Dallas Cowboys, the way that they played Jalen Hurts is going to be very similar to the way they're probably going to attack and try and play Josh Allen in this game. So it's just, for me, it's going to come down to Josh Allen. The turnovers are going to be huge here. The Dallas Cowboys have been fantastic at not turning the ball over and forcing turnovers as of late. So I think that's going to be something that's going to be, very important in this game. It's tough, man. I want to keep the Dallas Cowboys flowers flowing from my guys in the chat. Brother L and
you got
Gregory
a little shade,
and Marcus
pulling up,
and Monique and the whole Kai 007 001 in the building. I don't know, man. If this game was in Dallas, I 1,000% would pick the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean that streak is active right now. I definitely feel you on that. I like how you mentioned James Cook. I do think that he can be a bit of an X factor, somebody that could help out this offense. And ever since they made the switch with the offensive coordinator, with Fire and Dorsey bringing in, I believe is that Joe Brady calling the plays right now?
Joe Brady, who I've liked Joe Brady since his days in LSU. I'm surprised that his coaching meter has died down a bit.
Yeah, James Cook, he's coming off a great game in the passing attack last week. 83 receiving yards. That was a career high for him. And he's reached 100 scrimmage yards in 4 straight games. I believe it's been 4 games since Joe Brady has taken over. So I think that says a lot about the way that he's calling games. And also, with all the turnovers from Josh Allen, that offensive line and, his running ability as well has been clicking for sure. The Bills have allowed just 18 sacks on the year. That is the best in the NFL right now. But they're going up against a really good defense. Micah Parsons, I feel like, has had a quiet year right now, but he's 8th in the NFL. He's got 12.5 sacks on the season. He can also become the 5th player to reach 40 sacks in his first 3 seasons. He's just 1 away from that. That would join Reggie White, Alden Smith, Dwight Freeney, and Derek Thomas. God damn, that's great company. And Deron Bland, they been filling in really great at that other cornerback position. And Stephon Gilmore has just been incredible.
Really good.
You talked about playing them like how, they played the Philadelphia Eagles and whatnot. And it's like, I talked about this in the spaces with a couple of people today. The Dallas Cowboys, the moves that they made on paper have translated so well throughout the season. Brandon Cooks was one that we thought, could definitely be a guy pushing 1,000 yards. He started off a little bit slow. Then he had a little bit of injury there where he missed a few games, came back. The New York Giants game, I think he put up 180, maybe 190 yards in that game, and he's been implemented in this offense ever since. So I think they're going to need Brandon Cooks for sure. Deron Bland, 4-game interception streak came to an end last week, but he still leads the NFL right now with 8 interceptions. The Bills defense, too, 3rd in the NFL, 42 sacks right now. This matchup, and they've been extremely banged up. That secondary, they lost Matt Milano. They have lost a ton of players on this defense this year, and they're still managing to play pretty good football. It's going to be tough, man. Everything in me wants to find a way to pick the Bills simply because I feel like there's a lot more on the line for them in this game. Josh Allen is going to play with the urgency, but I think that could get him in trouble. I forget the rap artist, man. He's a dude from New Orleans. I always forget his name, but he got a joint called Doing Too Much. And I think that could happen to Josh Allen in this one. I think he could be trying to do just a little too much, and it could possibly get him into trouble. I'm riding with the Cowboys, man. I think the Cowboys have just been playing really good football. Dak Prescott not only is playing at a high level, you can just see the confidence. Mike McCarthy on the sidelines, man, when those 4th and shorts come up, 4th and 2 come up, ain't no hesitation. You ain't seeing no hiccup, no nothing. This dude is out there about business. I think Mike McCarthy has proven that he's one of the top coaches in the league right now. The way he's got this Dallas Cowboys offense playing, top of the league as far as points per game. As much as I want Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to win, because I really want to see them in the playoffs this year. I think that they're a team that could really cause some trouble in the playoffs for some teams. I think I'm going Dallas Cowboys in a close one, and it'll be a high-scoring one. I'm going to go 31-28 Dallas Cowboys.
So interesting. So interesting. I did want to touch on 2 things really fast before I give you my score. Kai001 brings up a great point. All the losses were on grass, too, and the Bills play on turf, although they are outdoors. Very interesting point. Good little point there. And then shout out to Jay Versick, who said that this will be a game for my boys to run the ball, too. What's interesting is I'm pretty sure, I didn't write it down, but I saw it, where they haven't had anybody go over 100 yards during this entire winning streak on the ground. So it'll be interesting to see if that's something that they turn to, being outdoors, being in Buffalo, on the road, trying to keep that Buffalo offense off the field, if they try and run a little bit more, or if they can not even just necessarily run a little bit more, but have more success running the ball. So that'll be interesting to watch too. I want to pick the Cowboys, guys. I really do. I love you all.
To tap into the running game before you pick your score, I think that, Tony Pollard absolutely needs a little bit of help in that backfield. And last week, they got it against the Philadelphia Eagles. Rico Dowdle had his best game, right? As long as they could get to that 70 mark. You remember how many times I said that last year about Saquon Barkley? We had only one victory last year of all the 9 wins in the regular season with Saquon Barkley, that he did not breach 70 yards and we won the game. And if you look at Tony Pollard's statistics, he's been right around that number the entire season. So you just can't go out here with that rushing attack and put up a dud. You just got to go out here and commit to it. Mike McCarthy has been giving him the 20 carries. They absolutely got to address running back next year. Tony Pollard on the franchise tag, find a way to bring him back and find a way to pair him with another running back. If the Tennessee Titans are willing to let a guy like Derrick Henry go, I think the Dallas Cowboys should absolutely be interested. But they got to get to that 60, 70 mark if they want to control this game and keep Josh Allen on the sideline.
So I also, the reason why I chuckled when you said your score is because I also believe that this will be a high-scoring game and a close game. Like I said, because Buffalo's playing at home, I have this inkling feeling. And, I've been hungry a lot, and it's not been the gut feeling. It's just been hungry feeling. But I'm going to go Buffalo Bills.
I ain't mad at you.
31-30.
Real close.
That's the one that I had. That's the one I had on here. I think it's just a back and forth game, a battle of just 2 good teams. I just think it ends up being a Josh Allen has the ball at the end of the game sort of situation. Field goal. They're down 31. They're down 30-28. They kick a field goal to win 31-30. That's kind of how I foresee this game going. But I would not be surprised if what you said about Josh Allen happens, where he does too much, and Dallas, we talked about this plenty of times this year, where Dallas just goes on this run and they drop 30 points, 25 points in a quarter. I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas ends up doing something like that if this game goes sideways and they end up destroying the Bills. That's definitely a possibility. We do have a couple of super chats to get to. Big shout out to our guy, Two-Toe. $4.99 super chat. Says, massive salute and respects to Awthentik and a Beard, numero uno. I need to figure out how to say number 1 in Italian. Thomas Guides, Roadmaps, Architect, Gold Nuggets, Maestro, and please slap all Saints wannabe losers out of the dough hard and fast. Fist pump, Italy. Big shout out,
man,
Tudo.
Big Tudo in the building. I know. It's funny when Tudo said Thomas last week. I was like, I'm going to start using that. Thomas Devito. A little bit more swag to that. I really like that. We got a couple more here, too.
Big shout out to Jay Versick for the $2 super chat. Says, just showing support, fellas. Hashtag Dallas Cowboys for life.
Oh, I thought that was like Washington, D.C. or something like that.
No, I'm not good. Listen, I'm all in on giving the proper respects to all the Dallas Cowboys fans in the chat. So big shout out to Jay Versick. We appreciate the love. Appreciate you stopping by. Big shout out to E&A. We got time with a $4.99 super chat. Says treat yourselves and put some money on Josh Allen anytime interception. Sorry, Awthentik. Bills not making a playoffs. Let me tell you, that AFC playoffs is like from the 5th seed all the way to the 11th seed, they're all either 7-5 or 6-6. Something along those lines.
It's like the NFC. The NFC, everybody's 6-7. Everybody named Mama 6-7.
It's crazy. It's going to be a wild end of the stretch to the season here. And Uno Mas, big shout out to Kyle Metcalf for the $5 super chat. Says combined rushing yards for Dallas has been way over 100. Dotto is doing his thing. Very, very true. And when I said that stat, I was talking about how one individual rusher, and then I think that's what's so important about what Awthentik said to double down on that is about, that whoever's running the ball behind Pollard, and Dak's been running pretty well. He's had a couple of good runs throughout this stretch.
And Dak has just been a lot more mobile this year. I feel like he's escaping pressure like the OG Dak Prescott. Last year was getting caught up a little bit. And yeah, he's definitely healthy. That's a big fact.
Big shout out to everybody. We appreciate all of the love and support.
Most definitely, man. Let's get off into this New York Giants game, man. My New York Giants traveling to New Orleans to take on those Saints one time.
Giants are on the board with 11:16 to go here in the third.
Good call. That was on my end. I don't know why it doubled up and muted me right there. But I'm definitely excited about this game, man. It's a good test, I think, for Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants, man. We had those 3 victories against subpar competition, including your Washington Commanders, the New England Patriots, the Green Bay Packers, who you've been overhyping a little bit. I think they've came back down to earth here, man. Pretty garbage team, if you ask me, with an inconsistent quarterback. Giants are 5-8. The Saints are 6-7. Kickoff is Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't like this, man. Opening line, the Saints are favored by 6. I do not like that. Last meeting, the New York Giants beat the Saints 27-21. That was a big game from Daniel Jones in 2021, and Kenny Galladay's really his only good game as a New York Giant outside of his last one with Davis Webb against the Philadelphia Eagles when he caught that touchdown in the back of the end zone. Last week, the Saints beat the Panthers in expected fashion, 28-6. The Giants beat the Packers 24-22 on Monday night. The Giants are coming off their first Victory Tuesday in 5 years.
When you said that on the Giant overreaction, I was like, what is going on? The first one ever in the history of Awthentik in the Beard. Isn't that what you said?
Yes, and that's pretty crazy. The last time the Giants had won a Monday night game was in 2018. Shout out to Daniel Jones. Is that a low blow as well?
Yeah,
not too bad, right?
Not too bad. Dandelion flower.
That's a beard flower. I like that one time. The Giants lead the series with a record of 17-14, and New York has won 2 of the past 3 versus the Saints. The Giants are on a 3-game winning streak, their longest of the season, their only winning streak of the season. The Saints win versus the Panthers. That snapped a 3-game winning streak for them as well. The Giants right now are in a position where they can possibly make the playoffs. I saw that ESPN had us on under a 1% chance of making the playoffs. This is absolutely a must-win. The Giants are now just 1 game out of the 7th seed, but it's a little tricky here. We're sitting behind 5 teams that have a record of 6-7. Derek Carr, another guy who got a big contract in the offseason. He got paid 40 M's or something like that as well, just like Daniel Jones. He has just 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions on the year. He did have 2 touchdowns in Week 14, along with an interception to go with that. He's kind of pushing for a little bit of history here himself. Derek Carr can join Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson as the only quarterbacks ever to have 3,000 or more passing yards in each of their first 10 seasons. So that does show a little bit of consistency from Derek Carr. I know a lot of people been kind of throwing shade at Derek Carr with the way that he's been playing this year with the Saints. But I will say this, new system, I give him the same pass that I would give Russell Wilson, right? You go to Denver, everybody's like, Russell Wilson's washed, man. Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than him. I wouldn't have Russell Wilson in my top 10. Look at the way that Derek Carr was playing football over there with the Raiders when he had John Gruden as his coach. Yep. He was a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. He was putting up big numbers. You bring in that, I ain't going to try to go crazy and throw too much shade, but Josh McDaniels. You bring in that other coach, Josh McDaniels. Coach. That dude, he's the only coach to be fired by 2 teams before he could finish out his tenure of 2 seasons.
Should that guy be a head coach?
Never, ever again. Definitely, reap the benefit of having a guy like Tom Brady on the roster one time. But Derek Carr has 2,880 yards on the year, so it's very likely that he's going to get to 3,000 unless he, puts up one of these frail performances where you see him getting, carried off the field. Like we have seen a lot this year. The Giants' offense has been better, but they haven't been that great either. The Giants are only averaging 14.1 points per game, just 152 passing yards per game. But the Giants have averaged 21.7 points per game over the last 3 outings. So big shout out to this guy. He was named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, Mr. Tommy DeVito. I do think they snubbed Dak Prescott on that one time. Dak Prescott's game last week against the Philadelphia Eagles was absolutely better than what we saw from Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito was 17 of 21. Got to give him his props on that. 81% completion percentage in that game versus the Green Bay Packers, but he only had 158 yards on the day, just 1 touchdown. I thought he could have had another touchdown if Wan'Dale Robinson didn't tackle him at the goal line.
Oh, my God.
That man got the little shake and bake, bro. He did have 71 yards on the ground.
It's funny because every time I saw that highlight, right, the first thing I thought about was when you were talking about how you thought that Tommy, the show before that, I don't know if it was the parlay or the last preview recap show, when you were talking about how in the preseason you were like, you thought Tommy DeVito was like more mobile. Yeah. And then when I see that, I'm like, okay, I see what Awthentik was.
I really don't understand why Giants fans are kind of acting like this is a surprise. I mean, I get it. He was getting sacked a lot when he first came into the game against the Jets the following week and whatnot. But when you saw him in preseason, he absolutely showed you that he could be mobile. On the year, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. DeVito's the first Giants rookie quarterback to win 3 straight since, I was going to use this as trivia tonight, but I figured we'd be moving too fast. You know who it is?
I'm going to say Daniel Jones.
Negative. Shout out to Daniel Jones. It was Phil Simms all the way back in 1979. Now, a big topic of conversation was everybody was talking about how Tommy DeVito was not sacked in this game against the Green Bay Packers. I put out a tweet today that said the reason why the New York Giants were not sacked at all in that game was because of Tommy DeVito. A lot of people took that as like shade towards the offensive line. What I was trying to describe there and explain is that the reason why we had absolutely 0 sacks is because of Tommy DeVito. The offensive line, they played okay. People are trying to overinflate it because they want to protect Daniel Jones. I get it. These people are dying on that mountain. They still think that we got faith and hope in Daniel Jones, where I'm looking at it like the New York Giants absolutely got to draft a quarterback. There were situations in that game where Tommy DeVito was absolutely dead to rights and should have been sacked, and he found ways to get out of pressure. And sometimes he made throws down the fields, and other times he ran with his legs and made plays happen like that. The Green Bay Packers absolutely played the read option in a pathetic fashion in that game, okay? I looked at the quarterback school's breakdown on this. He said he ain't seen nothing like that since he was coaching high school football. Okay, the way that their defensive ends were just crashing in on the run and giving Tommy DeVito the easy out to be able to run and get yards, 5 yards, 10 yards of grass before even seeing one defender. And one thing about Tommy DeVito, he's a tough kid, man. This dude was taking some hits, getting right back up. I like what I'm seeing out of this kid, playing with a lot of moxie, playing with a lot of swag. Now, Daniel Jones on the season, and however many games he played, he was pressured on 45.5% of his dropbacks. People are saying, you know, this offensive line that Tommy DeVito's playing with is better. They're gelling better. You know, this is a different unit. We saw 5 years of Daniel Jones with I don't even know how many combinations of a different offensive line. Keep that 45.5% in your mind. Tommy DeVito in the game against the Green Bay Packers, although he was sacked 0 times, he was pressured on 48.1% of his 27 dropbacks. He was 80% and had 71 yards on the ground. This dude is the first undrafted free agent with a passer rating over 103 straight games, okay? DeVito can become the 3rd rookie in NFL history with 0 interceptions. I love that number. And a passer rating of 100 or more in 4 straight games, joining the same 2 quarterbacks I talked about before, Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson. So we know when it comes to guys drafted in the late round or guys that were undrafted, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, those are probably the only guys that we can actually really talk about. I'm hyped that Tommy DeVito has been playing some good football, right? But these people that are waking up after the Green Bay game, I get it, Victory Tuesday, I get all of this, right? You know, we were talking about this today. Could you imagine if like this Tommy Cutlets was a black quarterback and we were talking about some Popeye's chicken? Now that would be kind of crazy, right? But Tommy DeVito, he's been playing some good football. There are people that are throwing around, I think we got our franchise quarterback. I just say this. I don't think that it's an impossible thing that Tommy DeVito could not turn into a franchise quarterback. But you know me, I've told you this a bunch on this channel. I assess things in a rational type of way. And when I look at what's happening right now, he's 3-1 as a starter, 4 games in. The dude's an undrafted rookie free agent for a reason. He was cut by the Giants earlier on in this season, okay? They brought him back. I would just tell fans, and listen, it's just advice. You can take it or you can leave it. Pump the brakes on the franchise talk. We have a quarterback on the roster that is due $90 million guaranteed, okay? His dead cap hit, and it's not funny. I promise you it's not funny because they screwed up this contract, bro. His dead cap hit is $69 million next year. There is absolutely no way. I give you it's a 99.8% chance that Daniel Jones is going to be the starter next year for the New York Giants because what are you going to do? Are you going to put $70 million damn near on the bench? And people are saying, well, they did it with Kenny Galladay. That's very different money.
He's a wide receiver, too.
He's a wide receiver, but Kenny Galladay was owed $19 million a year, and they did not give him that contract. Dave Gettleman gave him that contract to actually put Cam Newton on the bench for not wearing a tie. Dave Gettleman, I'm so glad you were gone. I got much more faith in Joe Shane. The last thing I'll say before I kick this over to you, and I do want to get to some keys to victory. I'll do that after you break it down a little bit here. These defenses are so parallel, so evenly matched. Both of these teams got 23 sacks each on the year. Both of these teams have 22 takeaways. Both of these teams are allowing right around 130 yards rushing per game. This matchup's going to come down to whose offense is better. I think that Tommy DeVito can put up a good fight. You talked about a lot of the injuries that the Saints had coming in the last week. It's all about Alvin Kamara for sure with the Saints. Rashid Shaheed, maybe they get him back this week. We'll see. What are your thoughts on this game, though, bro?
I mean, I almost want to call him Tommy Heineke or Taylor DeVito.
Thomas Heineke. Taylor DeVito.
Because this is what listen. I lived this already with Taylor Heineke.
No. Don't you do that.
What?
Let me tell you why.
Why?
My man Tommy don't turn the ball over.
No, he doesn't. And
this ain't Taylor turnovers. This is Tommy DeVito. All right.
But it's the fan base sort of reaction that because that was
because you were a hater on Taylor Heineke.
That was literally like the thing, which was like, oh, we got Taylor Heineke, the franchise quarterback. I mean, I had heated debates about that. But listen, it's funny you said that about Tommy DeVito and the turnovers. Because to me, this game's going to come down to turnovers, right? I know you guys played the Washington Commanders, but listen, 3-game winning streak, right? You're on a 3-game winning streak for the New York Giants. That's what it is, right? You have forced 12 turnovers in this 3-game winning streak, okay? You've only turned the ball over 3 times. That is a +9 turnover differential. New Orleans, 7 turnovers in their last 4 games. And I said 4 instead of 3 because the last game they played was the Carolina Panthers, okay?
Was the 6 turnovers are included in that versus y'all, right?
It is.
That was the second game, right? Okay.
Yeah. So it is included in that. So, the Saints defense has been they have not been playing well lately, but they have the potential to be a good defense, obviously. We've seen them perform at good level of defensively throughout the course of this season, specifically early on in the year, obviously. But their last 4 games, they're giving up 22.5 points per game, okay? So I think that, this Saints team is going in the opposite direction of the Giants team. So it's a great time for the Giants to take on the Saints if you're a Giants fan. That turnover differential +9 in 3 games is crazy. Like, I wish my Commanders could have something like that. We're the worst turnover differential team in the National Football League. But like this is how they're winning the games right now because it's nothing crazy, right? Tommy DeVito's not going up there throwing for 400 yards and all this and that, right? But they're doing what they need to do to win games, and that's forcing turnovers and not turning the ball over. So if they can find a way to take advantage of this New Orleans Saints defense that has not performing very well right now, and let's say you said they're averaging, 21 points per game over the last 3 games?
Yeah, the Giants are, yep.
And the Saints are giving up 22.5 over the last 4. So the recipe is there right now for the Giants to take this game. If they can continue to play the same way that they've been playing over the last 3 games during this win streak, they should be able to win this game. And then the last thing I'll touch on is I didn't even have anything else next to it. I just put Kamara. Because we talked about Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills, right? I'm a big Carr guy. I believe in Carr. I think he's a good quarterback. I've always liked the way that he plays. I think he has a skill set and everything, right? But to be perfectly honest with you, Alvin Kamara, and nothing against Chris Olave, and we're both big, we love Rashid Shaheed. He's just a guy that just jumps off the screen when he's playing football, right? And I think that's the type of football players that we love. We love a guy that just jumps off the screen to you. But Alvin Kamara is just everything for this Saints offense. So you have to have a game plan for Alvin Kamara. I do think this is a game that the New York Football Giants can win. And obviously, I'll give you my score after we go through a little bit of keys to victories with Mr. Awthentik.
I like it, man. Yeah, I do think this is a very winnable game. You made some really good points about Alvin Kamara. I think it's going to start with Tommy DeVito, though, before I get to Alvin Kamara. You got to keep doing what you've been doing, Tommy. Take care of that ball. Be decisive. Yo, so many people on my Twitter have just been telling me about that quote almost on a daily basis, man. A decisive quarterback is the best offensive lineman. Y'all know what it is. He was not sacked against the Green Bay Packers. Keep evading pressure the way you've been doing it. The kid is playing extremely confident football, and we don't want that confident to get knocked. He's the reason why we were allowed, 0 sacks against Green Bay as well. The Saints defense now, they're much better against the pass than they are against the run. I believe they're top 13 defense in the NFL right now when it comes to defending the pass, but against the run, they're a little bit worse. So I think the second key to victory is going to be committing to Saquon in all aspects, in the pass attack, in the rush attack. Right now, Barkley, surprisingly, is 11th in the NFL in rushing yards with 783 yards. He's averaging 4.23 yards per carry. He's coming off 101 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns versus Green Bay. He's got to thank Tommy DeVito not only for one of those touchdowns, but Tommy DeVito came over to Saquon Barkley after the fumble, and he told Saquon, don't you worry about it, because Saquon, they were showing him on the screen. He was looking extremely dejected. Tommy DeVito said, we're going to go down here, we're going to win this game. That's some real Johnny Moxon type stuff right there. I love seeing that. And the quarterback has to be the guy to do that. And you got to be willing to die on that. Even if you go out there and you don't win the game, you got to be able to go out there and tell your players, we're going to go out here, we're going to win this game. It was just his 3rd career game with 2 rushing touchdowns. I thought that was the most surprising stat I've heard about Saquon Barkley. He's only had 3 career games with 2 rushing touchdowns. Couldn't believe it. Saquon needs 34 scrimmage yards for his 4th career 1,000 yard season with 1,000 scrimmage yards as well. He has the 6th most explosive plays of 10 yards or more in the NFL right now with 20. He's got 90 scrimmage yards in 6 of his last 7 road games and also had 126 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns in the last matchup against the Saints. I don't know if you remember that wheel route that he ran that one time. That was super dope. So RTDB is a must in this game. Over the last 3 games, the Saints are allowing an NFL high right now, 191 yards rushing per game in their last 3 games. We got to keep eating off that. Now, if you saw the game on Monday night, you know that Wan'Dale Robinson was the X factor last week. Let's run it back. I think the Giants are really good at running it back. They've done it in a yearly type of fashion. Let's do it on a weekly type of fashion here. Wan'Dale had 6 receptions on 7 targets, 79 yards. He had 2 rushes. I love how they were using him as a running back in that game. He had 36 yards on the ground as well. Now, 115 scrimmage yards for Wan'Dale Robinson was a career high. He had the big game last year when he tore his ACL. I think that was against the Detroit Lions as well. And the huge catch to set up the game-winning field goal for Wan'Dale Robinson. If you get a chance, bro, and anybody in the chat, take a look at the all-22 of Wan'Dale Robinson on that route. First of all, the Green Bay Packers defense, I don't know what their defensive coordinator was doing on that because the middle of the field is wide open on that play. Wan'Dale Robinson could have had a choice route on that. He could have went inside on a slant route, or he could have went outside. This man straight up shook that defender out his boots on that play. And he ran a 7 route like I've never really seen anybody run a 7 route. Like when we get back out there on the 2-hand touch vibes, I'm definitely stealing some Wan'Dale Robinson route running techniques, bro. Like most definitely, okay? Because this route, he literally, like the way he just shake and baked, it almost looked like Allen Iverson on Michael Jordan at the top of the key. It was very similar to something like that. Now, 4th, we need another high-level performance from this defense. The Beard talked about Kamara. Do not let him wreck this game. He's averaging just 3.9 yards per carry right now, but he's got 63 receptions, and there's like 4 games left on the season for 402 yards. I need Kayvon to step up in this game again. Kayvon, 11.5 sacks on the season. He's looking for his 3rd game in a row with a forced fumble. So not only is Kayvon getting after the quarterback, he's getting the ball out of these people's hands, and that's a great thing. PFF graded Dexter Lawrence as the best defensive lineman in the league right now. Y'all already know what Dexter does. I won't call him by his nickname because that just ain't my kind of swag. So you're not going to hear that nickname too much over here on Awthentik in the Beard, at least coming from Awthentik. Bobby Okereke, probably Joe Shane's best acquisition in the offseason. A lot of people were hype on Darren Waller. Bobby Okereke comes in here. He's the only player in the entire league right now with 100 or more tackles, 9 TFLs or more, and 8 PBUs. The only player in the entire NFL. He's got 119 tackles. Deonte Banks, dude been balling out. Had a career high last week, 12 tackles. He's also one of 2 rookies right now to have 12 PBUs on the year. Jason Pinnock, These two young players are out there doing damage for the New York Giants secondary. And I think that free safety position or the opposite safety position, however you want to look at it, because we know Wink Martindale has the positionless defense opposite of Xavier McKinney. This dude, Jason Pinnock, has been balling out. He literally saved the game for us. I know that Tommy DeVito did end up going down and scoring or getting us, in scoring range to kick the field goal. But the play in the end zone from Jason Pinnock, the breakup on the sidelines from Deontay Banks. Shout out to the Maryland alumni one time, man. Shout out to Coach Loxley one time. I was just working with Chaz. We was just talking about Deontay Banks, man. So big shout out to Coach Loxley, man, for helping develop a player like this, coming into the league with incredible swag to start the year. I love this Wink Martindale defense, this young defense, the youngest defense in the entire league right now, average age of 25 and a half. And the Giants, they forced 3 turnovers last week versus the Green Bay Packers. They have 14. You talked about 12. They got 14 in the last 4 games. So they've been definitely helping Tommy DeVito do what he does. And Tommy DeVito and this offense have been helping the New York Giants defense. I've talked about this week in and week out. If you get a decent performance from that offense, the defense is going to come up and they're going to definitely show out. I think this last key to victory is not absolutely necessary, especially if we get the first 4 in line. But one big play from Jalen Hyatt would be nice. Yeah. Hyatt right now, he's averaging a ton of yards per catch. He's 13th in the NFL in average yards per reception at 18.1. Just 3 targets last week. And I know the drop on the first play of the game, I'm sure that got with his confidence a little bit. There's these gloves, man. They're called cutters. Those are the best gloves. I used to wear them joints out, man. Them things is like, you remember when Hands Haney put the stickies, the stick 'em on the hands, bro?
Say that.
It was like that, bro. I could just palm catch like no problem. You know what the hands were. You got some hands too. I give you that, but you know what the hands was like out there one time. He got to get them cutters He got to get them cutters, right? Don't be catching like this. Catch like this. All right, that's what it is. Shout out to The Rock one time. We don't need a 5-reception, 109 performance like he did against the Patriots, but one big play will be nice. And if it's not him, I want to see Darius Slayton involved in this game plan a little bit more as well. Paris Campbell. He ain't been nowhere. He's probably out of here. Sterling Shepard, he ain't been nowhere. He's probably out of here. So we want one of these young guys to step up. And I think the New York Giants can win this game. I want to say this too. In the beginning of the year, I'd picked, most of these games right when we did the prediction at the beginning of the year. But throughout the year, when these injuries have came in, there have been times where I've doubted this team. And last week against the Green Bay Packers was one of them. So y'all know me. I'm always willing to call myself out. I thought the Green Bay Packers was going to go out there and win that game by 2 scores. That did not happen. The way that Tommy DeVito is playing football right now, if he could continue to play ball like that, take care of the ball, and the rest of this team, including this defense, can feed off of that, I'm going New York Giants, man. It's good to be back in the saddle and have a little bit of faith in my team and know that they can go out there and have a possibility of winning these games. Team Tank, we got to ball that up and throw that away. I trust Joe Shane to go out here and get the quarterback. Kobe, I definitely trust him to go get the quarterback. Whether we're picking 32nd and win the Super Bowl, whatever it is, we picking 20th, 15th, 10th, whatever, Joe Shane, go out there, go get us that quarterback. We can't leave this draft without a quarterback. But right now, we know we got a guy on the roster who can at least give us a shot at winning some games. I'm taking the New York Giants in a pretty close game. The Saints have not scored a lot of points in the last couple of games here. I'm going to take the Giants in this one. I'm going to go 23-20 New York Giants.
I am going to double down. I am also taking the New York Football Giants to win this game by a final score of 20-17.
I like it. 3-point win for both of us. Let's get this one from the homie one time, Brother L.
Big shout out to Brother L with the $4.99 super chat. Says Awthentik, I told you them Giants would rack up some wins. What a time to be alive when a Cowboys fan has faith in that New York team. Hashtag pigs are flying.
I don't know if that's a shot at you one time. Hogs. What's the name of y'all mascot? Tutty?
Listen, I don't acknowledge that mascot.
Yeah, we got to do something about that.
Touchdown
the suit kind of loose.
It's kind of Teddy or Sergeant Teddy.
Sergeant Teddy.
I don't know what it is.
What was the homie with no legs in Forrest Gump? Lieutenant Dan. That should be y'all mascot right there. I like that. I like that. It should be Lieutenant Dan. I like that. I'm definitely with that. All right, let's get off into y'all game. Speaking of Lieutenant Dan, the Commanders got to travel and take on the Los Angeles Rams one time. Man, I pressed the button on the keyboard and I thought it was over. I thought it was over.
I do that about 17 times a show. Like I have my spiral notebook, and I'm just like, I hope this doesn't touch the wrong button.
Yeah, maybe I need to go back to pen and paper so stuff like that don't happen, because, man, that was definitely frightening. But the Commanders sitting at 4-9, man, not a lot of hope here in Washington, D.C. for those guys. They're headed to L.A. to take on the Rams, who are 6-7. They're still in the mix right now for a playoff spot. I think they got one of the easier roads to try to get into the playoffs as well. Kickoff is at 4 o'clock Sunday. Opening line had the Rams by 6.5. Last meeting, the Rams beat the Commanders 30-10. That was in 2020 at FedEx Field. Last week, Commanders had a bye. The week before that, the Commanders lost to the Dolphins 45-15. Rams lost to the Ravens in a really tight game, man, 37-31 in overtime. Walk-off punt return, or was that a kick? It was a punt return. Punt return touchdown. That was beautiful. The Rams are trying to win 3 straight regular season home games for the first time since 2021. That's been a minute. The Rams have scored 30 points in 3 straight games, and the Rams have the 10th best offense in the NFL. I'm setting that up right now to talk a lot of shit about your Commanders defense right now. That Commanders defense is the worst defense in the NFL. I can't believe it. You guys definitely fell off even more when you fired Jack Del Rio, but it wasn't good when Jack Del Rio was here. The Commanders have allowed the most yards and the most points this year. Their defense has allowed 4,938 yards, 395 points, 54 more points allowed than the next nearest team. And the Commanders have allowed 3,458 yards passing. That's dead last in the NFL. Their defense only has 6 interceptions. That's 31st in the NFL. The Commanders have not forced a turnover in over a month. They're allowing 7.2 net passing yards per attempt. That's also dead last in the NFL right now.
Just 32nd, everything. Relax.
It's bad, bro.
Bad.
And the Commanders, they're going up against a quarterback who fell out of a lot of people's top 10. I definitely told y'all should keep him in y'all top 10. I had him in my top 10 video at the beginning of the year. Matthew Stafford has never lost to the Washington organization. He's 5-0 against y'all. In those 5 games, he's got 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1,380 yards. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Taken, but when they took his daughter, he told him,
Oh, yeah.
good luck.
Liam Nielsen.
I am a man with a particular set of skills. Homie from Tropoyo. That's where they was from. He said, good luck. So I think that's what y'all going to need in this one, especially with Cooper Kupp, who bounced back last week, got on track, man, 115 yards receiving against the Ravens. What are your thoughts on this one? I know we got a little bit of a roadmap. I don't know if you found a way.
My thoughts on this is I almost fell into bye week was crazy. I almost fell into this zone where I was like, I have a football team. I just,
Season's over.
But I guess, the other thing that's really funny is so, the graphics department, for those of you that don't know, they send me, the thumbnail and a title. And in the email, it says, insert Washington tagline, right? And I'm just like, I almost want to be insert Washington punchline.
Facts.
Tagline, what am I supposed to say? I think I did a pretty good job with it today.
I didn't even check it out. What was the tagline today for your Washington
evaluating
Commanders?
Sam Howell.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
Listen, you talked about the Rams offense, okay? It's not even just the last 3 games. They put up 30-plus in their last 4 games, okay? Listen, Washington has allowed 45 points in back-to-back games. Who in the NFL is doing that? And nobody but us. Not to mention a 29er and a 30 in the 2 games before that.
A 29er, not a 40. A 40. A San Francisco 29er on you.
It's so bad. So bad. I never thought it was going to be this bad. And, listen.
I tried to tell you.
You did. And I fell for the mirage, okay? But it's not all bad. I've been going back and forth because my tweet had some legs on it. When I intertwine New York and Washington into a tweet, it gets legs on Twitter.
They want you to be a Giants fan, bro.
My Twitter is filled with so much of Giant love and Washington hate that I was like, dude, I would kill to be in the New York Giants situation right now. And then, the Washington fans came for me.
They didn't like you for that.
Oh,
why don't you go put on blue?
Yeah, more mediocrity. You just want more mediocrity is what you want. You want another 8-win season, and I'm just
throwing
like,
shade. Okay,
listen, I just want to win football games, man. I don't listen. You go back, you can get the number 1 pick, the number 2 pick, the number 3 pick. It doesn't mean anything really. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, it's ideal, and you want that feeling.
Well,
of
I won't agree with you that it doesn't mean anything, but yeah, I feel
you know what I mean.
I'm with you. I'm
no
with you. Shout out to
guarantees.
Logix who sent you a shout out too, man.
Yeah.
He was like, I get down with the beard. You're a real dude because of that.
It was a lot because I think it was something like there's only like 2 number 1 picks who have won a Super Bowl with the team that they were actually drafted from in the last like 25 years or something like that. So it just goes to show you that there's a lot that can be done in other places.
Stats like that.
I know you don't. I know.
What about been to a Super Bowl? I think that's a better way.
That
Matthew
would be a better
Stafford's
way.
one of the guys that won a Super Bowl, well, not with the same team. See the
Exactly.
little asterisks they putting in the
I
stats,
know,
man?
I
It's
know.
like, come on.
Sometimes
man.
you gotta, we're throwing asterisks around like flowers. But I just this Rams offense is really fun, man. And there's a guy on there that I told a lot of people about, man. I have a nice little stack of Kyron Williams cards over here because I watch him. And listen, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I got my Notre Dame. Audric Estime. Just remember that
Sal
name.
was talking about him today, bro. Sal was talking about him today.
That dude he's a running back you would really like because he's a different sort of hybrid running back where he's got power and speed. The dude, if you look at his stats from this year, it's insane what he's done for Notre Dame. But Kyron Williams, I knew the guy had, the potential to do this, and he fell into a perfect system for him. And he's missed 4 games this year. He's got 801 yards on 159 carries and 7 touchdowns, and he's missed 4 games, and he didn't play the first 3 games. So, I mean, he's done it in like 6 games. It's crazy. So, and then Puka, obviously, it's just. Listen, the Rams haven't had a draft pick in who knows how long, but they just seem to find these young guys and plugging them in.
They're finally getting a first-round draft pick coming up this year, the first one in Sean McVay's tenure, which is that it's crazy that they're that good of a team. I mean, not that they're like some juggernaut this year, but they've been maintaining here.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'll touch on before the roadmap is I put the Rams are like their statistics are very similar to their record. Like they're like 11th to 18th in almost like every statistic across both offense and defense. And then I just put down Washington bad. Like that's the only thing I really could put down for it. But it's gonna be I have to do this for the sake of the love of the what do we call them? The Thomas Guides, Tudo. So for the sake of the Thomas Guides, let's go ahead and jump into a roadmap to victory. Kanye shrug.
What the hell? Yeah, you're getting on the freeway.
What?
No, turn right. Get out of the lane. No. Okay, get the position. Just get out the lane.
Now, I know you see in Rush Hour, right? Chris Tucker was like, "Don't you ever touch a black man's radio."
Yes.
I'm sitting shotgun here for this roadmap. Would you like some music for the road trip?
Yeah. Sam Cooke, change gonna come. All right,
man.
So I try my best here to put some. I went a little funky on this one too because I'm like, Awthentik's getting a little upset with me. He's like, man, I don't like these 95 routes. I wanted, some scenic. I want to see some mountains. Give me something different, okay? So I got a little crazy here. All right.
Okay.
First stop on the roadmap is Kyron Williams, Puka, and Cooper Kupp.
So we get creative.
You got to hold all 3 of them to under 100 yards, okay? Because, listen, you guys check in the parlay on Sunday morning, you guarantee there's going to be one of those guys, if not all those guys, in my top 3 fantasy plays. Next up, we're gonna, after a quick little you're gonna take a little easy road for a little bit. Next 3.2 miles, just straight. Win the turnover battle, okay? You talked about it. We haven't had a damn turnover in a month.
It's bad.
So we haven't won many battles, but hopefully we can win the war. Up next, now this is where things are gonna get a little crazy. The only way to help a bad defense is offensively sustaining drives, okay?
I like it.
You have to win the time of possession, but you can't just win it by a minute. Double time of possession for the Washington Commanders.
Okay.
Double. All right, the roads are getting windy here, okay? We're going around the mountain. It's a 2-lane road. It's going to be some curves here, okay? You got to have defensively make the Rams have more 3-and-outs than scoring drives. We're getting real creative here, okay?
I like it.
And then last but certainly not least, you got to hold the Rams to under 20 points. They have only won one game all year long with scoring under 20 points.
Okay.
It's a roadmap to victory for the Washington Commanders.
I like it. You got real creative. It kind of reminds me of some directions like somebody would give me in D.C. Like, hey, man, you know how to get there? They be like, look, you're going to go 2 blocks down there. When you pass the yellow house, you're going to make a left. That's how the directions be.
You know how bad you'd be when you're driving in D.C. and you're like, all right, especially when you're looking for parking, you're like, I'm going to take the next left. And then you get down that block and it's a one-way street.
Terrible. It's terrible. Now you done got lost. It's a terrible thing. I remember them good old days where you had to get directions like that, though. You had to ask somebody. It's a great thing to have that GPS on the cell phone, man. I just upgraded the cell phone. My last cell phone, that battery be dying. I could get there, but then when I try to GPS on the way back, dog, like, we got to remember how we got here, man. I like that roadmap, though, man. Just a couple little nuggets to throw out there before we get the scores here. Sam Howell, more fourth quarter passing yards than any quarterback in the entire NFL right now. He's almost got 1,000 yards in just the fourth quarter, which is absolutely wild. Aaron Donald, man, had a career-high 4 sacks in the last matchup versus Washington.
Field day.
He's probably going to have a field day against Sean. Donald also had 3 quarterback hits and a forced fumble in that game. We know Sam Howell right now leading the NFL. He's been sacked 58 times in 13 games. Terry McLaurin, since entering the league, I know he's had, a couple of slow weeks here, but since entering the league, has 50 receptions of 25 yards or more, which ranks 10th in the league during that span. I want to see Terry McLaurin get back on track, but if he continues to kind of dip, maybe y'all can find a way to let the New York Giants acquire him. We need a couple little wide receivers in this room, but I'll let you go first on the score on this one before I give you mine.
All right. Los Angeles Rams 31, Washington Commanders 20.
Yeah, the Rams definitely just hung with the Ravens last week. Ain't no way I could even pick this to be close. Yeah, I'm going to go. I think it'll be a little bit of a coast to victory vibes where they don't got to score like really, really high. I'm going to go. Man, you just never know with Sam Howell, though. That's the crazy part. I said that last game y'all had, and man, y'all put up, 15 points, 14 points.
We haven't scored over 20 points, I think, in 4 weeks. So
yeah, the two games to Miami and the Dallas Cowboys, that was terrible. I'm going to go 27-13. Let's go 27-13, Los Angeles Rams.
All right. I just want to point this out really quick before I forget it. Big shout out to Margie, always dropping Marge bombs in the chat. It says, tonight, the first ever all-black on-field and replay crew will officiate the game. It will also be the first time that 3 women will be on the same crew. So
look at that. Look at that diversity.
Yeah, gotta love things like that. So big shout out to Margie for that Marge bomb. We appreciate it. We love to see stuff like this.
That's dope. All right, so we got about we got 10 minutes, 15 minutes max here to get over these 2 games. So let's go ahead and go into the Eagles. They're traveling to Seattle to take on the Seattle Seahawks. I had a lot for this game. The Eagles, man, sitting at 10-3. Seattle Seahawks, surprisingly 6-7 right now. They got a tough stretch here to end their schedule to try to get into the playoffs here. This one is Monday night, flexed out to Monday night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. The opening line has the Eagles by just 3.5. I think that's kind of interesting as well. Last meeting, the Seahawks beat the Eagles 23-17 in 2020. Last week, Eagles lost to them Dallas Cowboys. More flowers for y'all, 33-13. The only touchdown in the game for the Philadelphia Eagles was a Jalen Carter scoop and score touchdown. Seattle Seahawks lost to the 49ers last week, 28-16. The Seahawks have won 7 straight and 9 of the past 10 against the Dallas Cowboys. I thought that was extremely interesting. The Seahawks on a 4-game losing streak for the first time in Pete Carroll's tenure. They have lost 5 of their last 6 games. And the Eagles are looking to clinch a playoff spot with a win here in Seattle. A win would guarantee the Eagles at least the number 5 seed in the playoffs. And I actually think that number 5 seed is a good seed for them. I don't think they want that bye, to be honest, and be cold when they get to see the following teams in the divisional round and whatnot, because the 5 seed gets to play the 4 seed, which is probably going to be the winner of the NFC South.
Yeah.
That's an alley-oop right there. Definitely don't want to play those Rams.
That's an authentic nugget there for y'all. Don't forget the sweet and sour sauce.
That 5 seed going to be a good one. Seahawks hope to get Geno Smith back in this game. I think he will play, but Drew Lock did make his first start last week as a Seattle Seahawk against San Francisco 49ers. It was okay, 22 of 31, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns. Had the 2 interceptions, though. It's a little bit of a blemish there. I think Drew Lock could be a decent quarterback, like a bottom-tier starter in the NFL possibly, but whoever starts in this game is definitely going to need some help from the Seahawks. Weapons, DK Metcalf, man, he definitely plays well against the Philadelphia Eagles. In 2019, he had 7 receptions for 160 yards and a touchdown. In 2020, he had 10 receptions for 177 yards. Metcalf was ejected last week against the San Francisco 49ers. He only had 2 receptions. Yeah, that was really stupid. Definitely was. Metcalf has 4 touchdowns in his past 2 games. And Metcalf just needs 36 yards receiving to become the 3rd player ever with 900 yards and 5 or more touchdowns in each of their first 5 seasons. Now, I think people are panicking just a little bit about the Philadelphia Eagles offense. They're overlooking that they played 2 of the best defenses in the entire league last week. In the week before that as well, the Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, both of those defenses definitely thriving. And the Eagles are averaging only 3 points less per game than their 29.1 points per game in 2022. And I think I can credit that to them playing better competition. Last year, we all know the NFC East had a cupcake schedule pretty much here. Now, Hurts has more turnovers, but he has been asked to do a lot more, I think, against better competition this year. Jalen Hurts has lost consecutive starts for the first time since 2021. Versus Dallas last week, that was his first game of the season without a touchdown. So we got to clean that up. He was 18 of 27 for 197 yards, just 30 rushing yards on the ground versus Dallas. And on 27 passing attempts, they all went to just 3 pass catchers, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. I think he's got to put some more trust in some of these other pass catchers. I mean, there's not many over there, but you got to put trust in some other guys that are being rotated into that lineup. Jalen Hurts is looking for a little bit of history here, too. He can become the 3rd quarterback in league history with 9 games in a single season with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown in the same game. You want to take a guess at who the other 2 quarterbacks are? I'll tell you a little hint. They're active quarterbacks right now.
Damn, I was going to do my best. Cam! But I
you
guess
would have
it's
thought,
not
right?
Cam. 2 active quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen.
Got one of those, right? So I'll give you one of those. Josh Allen is definitely one of them. Kyler Murray is the other one there. Yeah, he did that in, I believe that was 2020 for him as well. It was that second season where he had a bunch of rushing touchdowns. This could be a get-right game for the Philadelphia offense as well. Seattle defense is ranked 28th overall, 23rd versus the run, 25th versus the pass. If Philly struggles versus Seattle on Monday Night Football, I think then you can absolutely hit the panic button. The Seahawks have allowed 28 points or more in 3 straight games. Going to need some help from Devonta Smith. He's caught at least 5 receptions in 4 straight games. I want to get him a couple of more targets. And A.J. Brown, he's got to show up. There were a couple, passes from Jalen Hurts last week that I thought that A.J. Brown should have showed up on. That fade route on the right side in the end zone. I don't know how he didn't catch that ball. Definitely got to find a way to do that. But what's your thoughts on this matchup for the Philadelphia Eagles? Is it panic time? Is it time for people to panic?
Listen. I never panic. I'm the least panicking panicker that you'll ever meet in your life. I panic in real life, but when it comes to football, I never panic, okay? And I don't panic in real life, like in panic situations. I just panic about my life. Ask Awthentik how I come into backstage every week.
We right there, dog. We right there. I was thinking the same thing.
Big shout out to Sean Jackson in the chat. I'm always rooting for Washington victories, never Washington losses. But listen. Last week, and I didn't get to talk about the Philly-Dallas game. I just gave Dallas flowers. And I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to make it seem like it was an excuse for Dallas winning. But last week, the 3 biggest players for the Philadelphia Eagles all dropped the ball, literally. Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts. They all fumbled, okay? So it's just they just made mistakes, and it's their best players making the mistakes, and you won't expect that to happen, again. Especially all 3 of them, right? So, I looked at it. What is the biggest difference between last year's Philadelphia Eagles team and this year's Philadelphia Eagles team?
Defense.
Part, yes. Okay. and this number includes defense and offense. Last year, the Philadelphia Eagles had the third best turnover differential at +8. This year, they have the 11th worst turnover differential at -4. That is a 12 turnover swing. Okay. Now that's the defense. Like you said, they're not forcing enough turnovers, and that's the offense turning the ball over at a much higher rate than they did last year. That is the biggest difference between last year's Philadelphia Eagles team and this year's Philadelphia Eagles team. And yes, it is a combination of two things, offense and defense, but it's still the same sort of concept. And that I went and I dug in the numbers between the two things. And, some people may say the little bit of the difference in the running game. Jalen Hurts isn't necessarily running as much for yardage as he was last year. But, I mean, DeAndre Swift is almost at 1,000 yards.
I think he's sixth in the NFL right now rushing. Yeah. That definitely surprised me. And Jalen Hurts is still getting in the end zone with his legs, too. I think, 13, something like that on the ground as far as touchdowns?
So, for me, that's the biggest difference between last year's team and this year's team. And I just, I think that there's people calling for the offensive coordinator, and people are saying that the offense is bland and this and that. I'm not worried about it. To sit here and panic about a 10-win team, like only Philadelphia fans do stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be okay. I'm going to take them to win this game. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I'm going to go Philadelphia Eagles 27, Seattle Seahawks 17.
I like you brought up the turnover differential. A lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans that I know have been talking about the defensive backs coach that also parted ways with the Eagles this year. That pass defense was one of the better pass defenses in the league with the same personnel last year, and now they're one of the worst pass defenses in the league.
And what's my man's name who left for Detroit? CJ Gardner
Johnson.
Johnson?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that definitely hurts them a little bit too. But even outside with the corners, man, like James Bradbury's not playing as great as he was last year. Darius Slay, they're just allowing way too many passing yards. 29th in the NFL right now, which, you got to find a way to clean that up. You went with the Philadelphia Eagles. What was the score you picked again?
27-17.
See, this is a tough game to pick, and I did say it could be a get-right game for the Philadelphia Eagles, but if Geno Smith plays, the Seattle Seahawks can put up points. They got the weapons on the outside. They have two running backs that can get the job done, especially with Kenneth Walker, who's been banged up a lot this year. Charbonnet coming in doing some damage as well. I'm still going Philadelphia Eagles, man. There's no way I can see them losing 3 games in a row. I think that would be very interesting. So give me the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. Maybe a little bit of a close game here. I'll go 28-21 Philadelphia Eagles.
Going to be interesting. Oh, you want to talk about interesting before we get everybody out of here? Tonight's game.
Oh, man, I'm dreading going over it. Let's go ahead and talk about tonight's game, man. The Los Angeles Raiders taking on – the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Los Angeles Chargers one time.
NWA days.
Yeah, right? Maybe take them back to Oakland one time. All right, let's be extremely fast with this one. The Chargers are 5-8. That actually surprised me that they're 5-8. I'm surprised they got that many wins. It feels like they're losing every week. The Raiders are sitting at 5-8. Kickoff is in about 5 minutes here on Amazon Prime. Make sure you put that on Prime Vision. That's going to be an excellent way to watch a terrible game. Opening line has the Raiders by 3. Last meeting, the Chargers won 24-17. That was on October 1st, earlier in the year. Last week, Chargers lost to the Broncos 24-7. And the Raiders and Vikings game last week, I mean, dude, like 3-0. I don't know the last time I saw a game end 3-0. That's just unacceptable for two NFL teams.
Definitely didn't throw 3 touchdowns.
Don't try to you trying to 8 Mile Eminem me. Like, I am white. I do live in a trailer, so I can't fry you for that here in a little bit because that was a horrible take one time. The Chargers, as visitors, have beaten the Raiders in 12 of the last 19 meetings. 10 of the 14 games were one-score games. 3 games went to overtime. Brandon Staley has a 6-game losing streak versus the AFC West. He's got to get right here. Chargers have scored only 23 points over the last 3 games. They're looking like the New England Patriots one time. For the Chargers, no Justin Herbert. He's out for the year. You're going to get quarterback. This is a quarterback name, though. Easton Stick. That's definitely a quarterback name right there.
A lot of people liked him coming out of college. He was kind of a guy, but he was supposed to be the guy before Justin Herbert. But then
I want to say I'll take your word for it, but I'm not going to take your word for it. He's making his first NFL start. He was drafted as a 5th-round draft pick, and we thought he was the guy from the Chargers in 2019. Had only 2 snaps before Sunday. This dude has probably just
Living
kneeled
his
the ball
best
2
life.
times. Definitely living his best life, getting that check one time, going to practice. He was 13 of 24 for 179 yards. That's not too terrible, but the completion percentage of 54.2, not the vibes. Oh, and I forgot to say this about Josh Allen. 2 games in a row where the completion percentage was under 58. Not that great for him right there. Wide receiver Quentin Johnston, he definitely got it together a little bit, had 8 receptions for 143 yards in his past 2 games. I've been definitely giving him, some drama this year. I've been talking about how bad he's been because I drafted him in my fantasy league, and that did not pan out. Khalil Mack, can't forget in the previous matchup, he had that 6-sack game. So definitely got to watch out, for your boy at quarterback, who I told you.
Stick.
Did you end up running with him in fantasy?
Who? Aiden O'Connell?
Aiden O'Connell.
No.
Okay, I'm glad you didn't do that. That was definitely a vibe. Now,
Oh, no, I went with him. I didn't win, though. I thought that's what you asked me.
Oh, God. The Beard, I don't know what he be doing. So I tried to talk him off the hill. He didn't want to do it. Now, the Raiders game versus Minnesota last week, that game went scoreless for 3 quarters. Aiden O'Connell, let's talk about those numbers that the Beard was talking about. He said, book it is what he said. 3 touchdowns, book it. Try to talk his way into a fantasy victory.
As soon as I said book it, I should have.
I literally just looked at you and I just showed like a dimple.
So good. Shout out to Stan. That clip
Terrible.
was perfect.
It was terrible. I wish those are the clips that I wish would go viral so that you could be getting fried all day on Twitter because that was terrible.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I really do wish this upon you, where you got to mute your notifications. Now, he was 21 of 32 for 171 yards, and he did not have 3 touchdowns. He had 0 touchdowns. He had 1 interception on the day. And Josh Jacobs struggled in that game too, and he got banged up. 13 carries for 34 yards. Devontae Adams, 4 receptions from 80 on the year, which would be his 6th in a row with 80 receptions or more. So I'm looking forward to seeing that happen for Devontae Adams. He's definitely been a baller. Oh, man, I wish I had a coin down here so I could flip a coin. I'm going to go Raiders in this one. I'm picking the Raiders, man. I think the Raiders win this game by about a good touchdown. Give me the Raiders 20-13.
No Keenan Allen. No Josh Jacobs. We got a primetime game with Easton Stick and Aiden O'Connell. I don't remember who's playing running back. Amir Abdullah or...
Oh, yeah, probably be Abdullah. He was getting some carries.
There's another guy, too,
relief.
though, ahead of him. I forget. Wow, I can't remember his name right now. But, yeah, it's one of those games. It's like a preseason game, basically. So, I don't have anything else to say about this game. I'm going to take the Raiders to win. I'm like... Listen, this is one of those games where it's like, okay, like if this game could be like 9-6, right? And watch it be like 27-24. Give me the Raiders
like
27-24.
Like the Patriots game last week against the Steelers. Yeah, they definitely did put up some points. The running back you're talking about is Zamir White. I did look that up for you.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. This game's going to be really tough, man. Shout out to everybody, man, for tuning in today, man. Definitely was a vibe, man. Y'all been definitely rocking out with us these last couple of weeks, even though, our teams aren't like quite truly in the mix, especially for the Commanders fans. And shout out to all the Cowboys fans who pull up week in and week out and rock out with us, man. Being that I'm a Giants fan, the Beard is a Commanders fan. We definitely appreciate all the love, man. Big salute to y'all. Y'all know how we end every show, man. We're going to get y'all up out of here in perfect timing. I got about a good 20 seconds to close this out, and we'll get y'all up out of here for kickoff, man. Again, salute to all of y'all. Y'all know how we end every show over here at Awthentik and the Beard. Keep raising that bar, y'all. Keep living those dreams because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, Mr. Combat Jack himself. And that's a wrap. That's another episode. I cannot believe we are already here at week 15, y'all. We're going to be getting ready for draft talk, playoff talk, all of that stuff. I can't wait for it, man. Again, we thank all of y'all, everybody who sent in the super chats and supported this channel, man. That's a vibe for us, man. We appreciate y'all lending y'all wallet over here to Awthentik and the Beard. That's a big shout out to y'all, man. That's a lot of love y'all been showing us. So again, salute to y'all. Enjoy this Thursday night. Check us out on Sunday for the parlay. We'll catch y'all then. And, as far as all the people in the fantasy playoffs like myself, best of luck to y'all. Y'all be good. Peace.